try to explain and understand.
So many of them in our lives, so much.
So many of them in our lives, so much to try to explain and understand.
Mystical mystery of the clickbait explosion in Jesus Christ.
Welcome to the Mystic Journey. I'm your host, your co-journeyer for the next 30 minutes or so. I'm going to try to provide something that's honest, transformative, and helpful. And I'm an interfaith, interspiritual reverend. I'm a dad. I'm a son of a bitch. I'm a person in recovery. I'm a, IFC certified coach. Whatever. I am. I've been through some stuff. And along that journey of being through some stuff, I learned some things. And in learning these things, I went through a lot of crap. And I listened to people. And I read. And those things that I listened to, those things that I read helped me get through stuff. Transforming my life, breaking patterns in my life, coming to terms with my own spirituality, with my own concept and connection to whatever God is. And so here on this next 30 minutes, I'm going to walk through some things that's helped me and that I still need help with. So I'm just walking with you if you want to walk with your boy. The topic for today is awareness, acceptance, and action. Whoa, awareness, acceptance, and action. You heard a AA, you heard a Triple A, but this ain't that Triple A that you heard of. This awareness, acceptance, and action. So the logical thing when it comes to this awareness and action, it's logical to go from awareness to action. And that's partly because awareness is so key to changing or breaking patterns and behaviors in your life. The becoming aware is like G.I. Joe. It's like knowing is half the battle. Becoming aware of the pattern and the destructive nature of your behaviors or thinking, man, that's half the battle. That's G.I. Joe. Awareness. Becoming aware is key. And I think what happens is a lot of us want to just jump past acceptance and jump right into action. Change it. I don't like it. I see something I don't like about myself. How can I immediately get to changing it? We're circumventing the second A, which is awareness, is acceptance. All these A's is mixing me up. It's acceptance. Accepting where you are. Accepting that you are doing the thing that you don't want to do. Accepting that you're breaking promises to yourself, to other people, to family members, to people who love and care about you. You're breaking these promises to yourself and others. And once you're aware that you've been doing this, it's hard to accept it. And I'm going to break down why this acceptance part is so key. Yeah, I think early in my recovery journey, right, I went from awareness to action. I skipped acceptance. So there were certain things about myself that I just did not want to accept were me. I didn't like my, some would call it my sinful nature. Some would call it my character defects. Some would call it my dysfunctional, unhealthy behaviors. And so I didn't want to accept those. I wanted to change those. I wanted to jump right into action. And one of my favorite teachers is Richard Rohr. And he has a quote that I've used often, which is, if you try to change the ego with the help of the ego, you just end up with a better disguised ego. You follow that? You try to change, it's like, if you try to change the addictive mind with the addictive mind, you end up with a more sinister, addicted mind. I read this book called Drop the Rock. And when I say read, I mean listen, because I listen to audiobooks. And I was listening to it, and a part in the book, they were talking about this. This girl was on her 7th step, which is, ask God to remove these defects of character, right? And what this lady was doing was she had her list of character defects, right? Her controlling, fear, anger, self-pity, whatever they were. And she took a sheet of paper and she wrote each one down. And then she cut those pieces of paper into little squares. And then she took those squares, which was her character defects on each little square, wrote out, and she put it in this jar. And every morning she would get up and reach in that jar, pull out one of those character defects. And that was the character defect she was going to work on that day. So imagine me, I'm listening. I'm driving down the road. I'm listening to this. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a great idea. What a great idea. Just picking one out of there and say, I'm going to focus on not cussing. I'm going to focus on being nicer to people. I'm going to focus on not lying, not cheating, not being in self-pity. I'm going to focus on that. Here's another thing, though. This is the real. What you resist persists. What you resist persists. Where you put your focus becomes larger and larger and larger. What this lady realized was she wasn't really working that 7th step. Because the 7th step is ask God to remove these shortcomings. God gonna remove the shortcoming. Not her, not me. I'm not removing my own shortcomings. God does the removal. In the 7th step, there's a 7-step prayer. Now, I'm talking about steps, which we're talking about 12 steps. You don't know what 12 steps are? Google it. In the 7th step, there's a 7-step prayer. God, I'm ready for you to have all of me, the good and the bad. Take away these things that stand in the way of my usefulness to you and others. In that prayer, it's saying, God, I'm going to have faith that you're going to remove the character defects that get in the way of my usefulness. It might not be all of them. It might not be the ones I think should be removed. I might not agree with the ones you remove today. But I know that if I have faith and believe and surrender, more importantly than belief, if I just surrender to it and let go, that whatever God is going to remove the defects that get in the way of me being useful to him and others. I don't really get a say in the matter which defects get removed. But see, in my thinking, when I was listening to this book, I thought, what a great exercise. What a great exercise to pull a little character defect out so I could work on it. I'm going to work on this. And it has an opposite effect because it's awareness straight to action, skipping over acceptance. Most people don't want to accept that they're a liar. And, you know, lying, you ain't got to lie about big things. Lying about small things. You know, they call them little white lies. You know, they say half truth is a whole lie. You know, breaking promises to yourself, like I said. Treating someone else disrespectfully without consideration, hurting people for no reason other than your own impatience and intolerance of yourself. So becoming aware of it is painful. And so to accept that that's what is, it's hard to accept that. But in the acceptance is the power. Acceptance is when we receive the Spirit. Whatever that is. That thing you can't put your finger on. That voice in your head that's a little too wise. The voice in your head that's telling you to do the opposite of what you really want to do. We receive that power through acceptance. Acceptance is a form of surrender. It's a form of saying, okay, it is what it is. It is what it is. And when I accept that it is what it is, comes this thing. I'll just using the word spirit. This unknown higher power, this external thing that's also internal, begins to work and do for me what I cannot do for myself, which is begins to relieve me of the bondage of myself. So the force, the power that's at play is not self-will. It's not false self. It's not the flesh. It's not my ego. It's this higher power, this spirit, this thing that's simultaneously raising oceans and suns and moons and stars and turning and doing. I begin to enter into this, what Jesus called the kingdom of heaven, where the rules are different. The system is different. And I become, it's almost too easy. I become relieved of this bondage of self because I've let go. I'm living with my hands open. God, you take what's going to get in the way of me being useful today. The other key part of that prayer, right, is that it ain't about me no more. I want to work on this character defect because then I'll be more marketable and profitable or better liked, or I'll get that person I want, or I'll make my significant other happy, or my mom and my dad happy. So I'm going to work on this character defect. But whatever the higher power is, whatever that spirit is, might be saying, nah, I'm not working on that today. So accepting that you got this thing, and then accepting that whatever God is going to work. And there's a residual result from that. You become relieved of that bondage. You become a little more free. This kingdom of God principle is at play. My buddy Dan says, like, when you make other people important, you become important. This thing's starting to happen. I've been a recipient of that kingdom for so long. Yet when it came early in my recovery, when it came to my internal world, I didn't want to accept it. I just wanted to change it. I became aware of it in rehab, in hitting my bottom. I became aware, and even before that, I became aware. I became aware, this is a problem. This ain't working like it used to. I might need to stop this. There's awareness. The thing is, even that awareness is a grace. Even the awareness that I'm become something that I'm not happy with anymore. Become someone who lives and behaves in a certain way that I don't align with. I've become that thing. When I become aware of that, I think that's a grace. That's a grace from the higher power. That's what they call common grace, but ain't nothing common about common grace. When I started doing this 7-step prayer as a part of my practice, the line that really took me back, took me to my knees, humbled me, was that, God, I'm ready for you to have all of me, the good and the bad. For so long, I thought that God only wanted the good of me. And he wanted me to deal with the bad. Get rid of the bad so that God could use me. It was a real sad place to be. And that's like, I'm in this internal battle, this internal hell. Not really feeling at peace. Because I'm feeling like the very thing that everyone tells me is this love and acceptance embodied only wants the good parts of me, not the bad. I gotta get rid of the bad. But I can't seem to get rid of the bad. No matter what I do, I can't get rid of it. I could get rid of some of them behaviors. I can get rid of the behavior of not going to the dope man, not buying dope with any extra money I had or any money I had. But then there was this internal world of thinking and feelings that I didn't like and I thought were bad. And I thought, God only wants the good, so let me get rid of these bad. Well, guess what? I couldn't get rid of them. And I went crazy trying to get rid of them. It was like a whack-a-mole. I'll give one down, boom, then another one pop up. Then I start rationalizing, well, at least I ain't doing that no more. It's an endless battle. Not a fun place to be, my friends. Not a fun place. But in this acceptance and saying, God, I'm ready for you to have all of me, the good and the bad. And realizing that whatever God is, God ain't tripping on the bad. Sin ain't a problem for God. It's a problem for me. It's a problem for you. It's not a problem for God. So bring it all. They say, come to the cross boldly. I'm using these religious terms, right? Because they are true. Just show up as you are, the good and the bad, and receive the love and the acceptance. So awareness is half the battle. G.I. Joe. Then comes accepting it. Then comes the action. It's in the acceptance that the power comes to take action, not out of self-will, not out of self-power, not out of selfish ambition, but out of love and compassion for myself and for others. And that is a powerful thing. Self-acceptance, the more that I can accept who I am, the good and the bad, the easier it is for me to accept others for who they are, the good and the bad, and the less controlling I am, and the more compassionate I am. And for me, in order for me to accept who I am, I needed to reevaluate and redefine this relationship I had with my higher power, my relationship with the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. I had to reevaluate that. I had to realize that I was holding back the bad. I was trying to hide the bad, or change the bad, or will myself out of the bad so that I could just offer the good stuff to the Lord. I could just say, Lord, Lord, look at all this good stuff. And that deconstruction was painful and dramatic. It was an existential crisis. But the deconstruction allowed for reconstruction. And in me reading and listening to others, I learned that I wasn't the only one who has gone through this process. Again, like I'm talking about this 5 years, 6 years sober, completely reevaluating my connection to whatever I thought. I thought that I knew what God was and what God wasn't. So I dictated the terms in which I was going to communicate with this higher power, which really wasn't a higher power. Now look, I'm not saying I did anything wrong. It takes what it takes. And I'm grateful that I was not successful when I was suicidal. I'm grateful that I had moments of clarity before I took the wrong action. But I was taking action not out of acceptance. I wasn't accepting that I was where I was at. And did I really want to kill me or kill just a part of me? I had been trying for so long to change me so that then I could be accepted by God and by others. I drove myself crazy because I hop, skip, leapfrogged over acceptance and went right to action. Awareness, acceptance, then action. Maybe it's the last thing, I don't know, but acceptance is, I think, not necessarily done alone. And I know I talk about the steps a lot, and I feel like if someone talks about the steps, we get kind of categorized as this militant kind of cult. But the steps have been the best framework that I've been exposed to up to this point that helps us to transform. Because in 4 and 5, in the writing down of my behaviors and emotions, and in the confession of those behaviors and emotions to another human, I come out with this list of very common character defects. And then when I become ready to let God take them as God sees fit, some of that freedom starts happening. So I had to do it in community. That's what I'm saying. I didn't do it alone. There were other guides along the way. People that walked alongside me for a season, for a period of time. Some of them I'm still walking with, some I'm not. But for that period of time, they were there to help me through that. And when I mirrored myself, when I was mirrored myself to myself through the communication and confession to other people, other men, who looked at me with compassion, love, and acceptance and tolerance because they had learned to love, accept, and become compassionate to themselves and to tolerate themselves. So they were able to extend that same kind of compassion, love, acceptance, and tolerance to me, which in turn made it possible for me to say, I can accept me for me. I think like a couple episodes ago, I talked about this the fascination we have with machines, right? And how we vitalize machines and want to become like machines. You give it the fuel and it goes and it do what it do. And we want to become like that. But we're not machines. But in this fascination with the machine, right? When the machine is broken, you fix it. You don't really kind of go through this existential process of acceptance. Although it may be, because if a machine's not running right and you just keep kind of trying to make it go and do what it do, you end up doing more damage to the thing. Once you accept, man, I gotta take this thing for repair, and it gets fixed. But I don't think most of us consider that step in that process. We just think it's broke, let's get it fixed so it can keep doing what it do. And I think we treat ourselves the same way. And we treat other human beings the same way. You broke, let's get you fixed so you could do what you do. It's all transactional. It's madness. Because we circumvent that acceptance key part, that piece, when it comes to humans. Accepting ourselves. Awareness, acceptance, action. Just for today. You can do it. You can do it because you're not alone. Because I'm here with you in this cosmic telecommunication. Because if you accept where you are and you open your eyes, you might see that there are other people there for you too, who are willing to help you and are willing to care for you. You're worth the work. You're worth the effort. And it's okay. It's okay if you're not okay. Just don't stay that way. Right? It's okay that you're not okay. Accept the fact that you're not okay. Then you cannot stay that way. I trust in whatever God is to care for you in the same way it has cared for me. And I'm here to help. You can mosthighmedia.org, hit the contact button. You can email me. If you're watching this on social media, you can direct message. How can I help? How can I be of service? May the grace of God go before you, beside you, behind you, and above you, below you, and through you, as you continue on this mystic journey.
Thank you.